Welcome, everyone, to NMUG's weekly meeting for December 7, 2022. I am your host and MC, Dan Wasink. And our goals, as you know, here at Naples MUG is to foster community, to share and help each other. We also like to entertain and inform with our weekly meetings, and we like to help you with our with your Apple devices through our informative classes, which are now available online, or you can sign up for them. So go to our website and sign up for the classes. And then, of course, we also try to help each other through Groups.io, where you can find all of our latest information, including our class information, which starts in January. It's only a few short weeks away. You can go to naplesmug.com. And if you want to ask a question about anything, check out our Groups.io. Everyone is a member, and just log in and ask your question. Hopefully you'll get an answer. Anyone can sign up for NMUG. There's a contact form on the website, and then we'll forward you the information. Announcements. As I mentioned, before I mention the classes, last week's session on Great Software Demo from Michael Rose is now online, so you can go to YouTube and take a look at that. Michael did tell me he is getting, he's putting together a slide deck. A few people asked about the slide deck, so once he gets that to me, we'll put that on the YouTube in the description for the YouTube so you can download it. So I'll have to probably bug him, remind him, but I'll do that. Probably tomorrow is I'll give him a week or so. He said sometime this week. All right. As I mentioned, class registration is now open. Register for 10 classes. You get 2 additional classes for free. We will be providing class PDFs, recordings, and for the classes that work with Take Control books, which are awesome books by Joe Kissel and others, you will be able to get those books as well. So sign up all through our website. All right. We have our president, Eckert. Anything you'd like to add, Eckert?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Dan. I'm glad you mentioned the classes. We opened the registration just about a week ago, and I'm just looking at the number. As of this moment, 362 classes have been signed up already. So that's quite an attractive number for just 1 week. So I'm looking forward to record participation, and I believe our program deserves it because we have such excellent speakers this forthcoming year. Also, one quick comment on our Zoom ID. You all realize and you know that we have been using the same Zoom ID for the entire year this year, and we will have a sort of pause for 2 weeks around the holidays, and our meetings will start again in early January. But I will provide all of you a new Zoom ID for the new year, and I will mail that to you because we don't want to publish it. It is sort of not secret, but we only want really our members to come to our meetings. So you will be getting between now and early January an information with the new Zoom ID and the passcode. And you can import that to your devices and load your calendar app with this program. I just wanted you to be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eckert. Sheeta, have anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, I do. Regarding the classes, I want to say that if you know of someone who you feel will benefit from the classes, please let them know about the classes and that they can sign up for NMUG and then sign up for the classes. Actually, last year we had someone who had 6 people in a room for every class, and it was just wonderful. So if you know someone who will benefit from this, please let them know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And all right, today we have Christian Boyce, and he's going to be talking about window management on the Mac. This is one that when he first brought this up a while ago, we were kind of chatting, talking, and I thought, wow, this is really good because personally, he had just heard me say this during the pre-meeting. I have a lot of windows open, and I've tried Moom, and I've tried different things. I'm working with Stage Manager, and I like it, but I'm very curious to see, what Christian has to say, because we all know, like right now, I cleaned up my desktop, but I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows open on my Mac, and I haven't minimized, these are windows that I need to have open, chats and, my videos and all that. So this is, I think this will be helpful for a lot of people, to keep, your windows, manage your windows. So Christian, it is all yours.
Okay, well, good. First, as always, it's always good to be here. And Sheena's going to moderate the questions for you. So I'm not watching the chat because I had too many other things to do. So let's talk about what we're going to, what problem are we trying to solve here with window management? Well, we get too many windows on the screen. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and you're going to see just how bad it can get. So here's a window. Not very exciting here, but nothing on the screen now, right? Okay. So I'm going to open up, here's a web browser. Maybe I open up the contacts, and maybe I open up reminders, and this is what it looks like, right? Everything piles up. And then when you're trying to, maybe the calendar too. Now, if I want to get back to the web page, people are always doing this, dragging things around and trying to find the thing they want. Okay, there it is. It's a big waste of time. Okay, it's frustrating. It takes too long, and you have to do it over and over and over. So that's only half the problem. The other problem is that you're moving stuff around, you're resizing it. You're trying to grab the edge like you're supposed to, and resize like that, or trying to grab the corner, but now the corner's behind the dock, so you can't grab that corner, and it's a big yuck. Okay, so how do we deal with this? Because we're not going to be doing just one thing at a time. We're doing multiple things at a time. So how do we do this? Well, the way I do it is with a little program called Moom. Now, Moom is a portmanteau, I think is the word. It's a combination of move and zoom. Okay, so someone can look that up. But I've downloaded it here. I'll show you where we go to get it. There's a couple ways you can go get it. So one way is you can go to the App Store and you can search for Moom. And that's a good way to do it. And you'd find it. And I already have it on the machine. But if you do it this way, you're going to pay for it. It's $9.99, but it's a one-time purchase, and so it'll work forever. The other way you do it, so you go to a web page here, and I'll do it. The web page is called Many Tricks. Okay, so this is manytricks.com. And the nice thing about manytricks.com doing it this way is when you go to visit the Moom page and you accept their terms here, you can get a demo down here for free, and it'll work for a little while. So what I would do is, if I were you, is I would try it for free, and then I'd buy it. I'd go back and buy it from the App Store, because the App Store is nice the way it automatically keeps all of your stuff updated and so on. So that's what I would do if I were you. Okay, but now what about it? Let's see it in action. So I've already downloaded it, and it's in the applications folder like any other application. And here it is. This is what it looks like. Moom. Well, okay. Well, before I open that up, let me just show you where Apple tries to help us with window management. Now, this is Mac OS 12. This is Monterey, and the reason I'm on Monterey is because it's fairly polished. Okay, this is 12.6. They've had a lot of tries to get this right, whereas Ventura, the newest one, has only had one little update, and it doesn't even have all its features in it yet. So I'm not real keen on that yet. So we know about these buttons up here. This red button, this closes things, right? We know that. The yellow button, we know about that. This one flies it down into the corner, sort of minimized in the dock. And this green one, now this green one's got some twists to it. If I click on this, or if I just hover over it, you can see that there are some choices here. I can move it places. I can go full screen like this. But that's not that nice, because then you lose the menu bar, so I don't like that one. So basically what Moom does is it makes this green button really, really smart. So let's do it. I'm gonna go to Moom. We're gonna start it up. And here it is. This is what it looks like. And I'm gonna push this window out of the way so you can see. Okay, so just look at this part here. Now, if I were, what I'm doing here is I'm working on essentially a brand new Mac user that has no customization at all. So Moom hasn't been used on this machine yet. So what you would do when you start it up, if you're going to use it all the time, you're going to want it to launch automatically when you log in on your Mac. So you would check this box to launch automatically on login. This business about showing the preferences on the launch is not a bad idea too, because at first you may want to make some adjustments in here, and if you forget about how these windows are being manipulated, you'll miss out on half the fun. So I kind of like to show these preferences for a while. We'll skip this part at the bottom for now, but let's just go across and we'll see what we have. So in general, we have this. I have some mouse options. Just know about that there are some. We'll come back to those in a minute. We've got keyboard options, which are really super powerful. We've got custom options, which are even more powerful. So let's see how this works. So here's this window here, this window here, and I want to make this window exactly the left half of the screen. Well, if I point now with Zoom running, if I point to this green dot, I see this little bitty drop down. You can probably guess what these things do. This one makes it full screen like that. This one, if I do this again, that's that one that looks like a half a screen. That's the left half. They even tell you. If I do this one here, if I wait long enough, right half, that does it over there. Do it again, and this is the top half. And just to finish it all off, we'll just do the bottom half. So how does this turn out to be really handy? Well, let's say you've got a web page going here. I'll put this one on the left. And let's say I open up another web page like this, and I want this one to be on the right. It takes just a couple seconds there for me to do this. Whereas if you didn't have Moom, you would be doing the old drag-a-roo like this. I mean, suppose I wanted to switch these two things now. I'd have to grab this one, you know, without Moom, I'd be dragging this over here, grabbing this over here, re-grabbing this. And it's such a pain that you'd never really do it. It's too much work. So what I'm going to do with Moom is I just go here. There's my left half. Here's my right half, and I'm done. Okay, so that's the basics. Now, I also use Moom when I'm comparing two kinds of documents. Like let's say I have, let's say I have an Apple script, and it's I'll just open up my script editor here. See if I can find. Here's a script. Okay. Yeah. We're just going to trial this here. So here's a script, and let's say that I'm going to compare that to some other script. Well, I can drag this around like this, or I could have just said, put this on the top. I'll make another one, and this one I'll put on the bottom. And so I can refer to the top one. I can see the top one while I'm working in the bottom one. So it's nice to be able to see two things at once in a nice, neat way. All right, so that's the very, very, very basics. Now, you might say, okay, here's what I really want. I want 4 windows up there. And how are you going to do that? Well, if you look at this again, you don't see a quarter screen option. You only see full screen and half screen. Well, it turns out that there's 2 ways to pull that off. One way is when I go to this left, it's a little hard to see there, but the left half. If I click on it and I drag up, I get a quarter. Okay, so if I'll make another window here, and I'll send this one down to the bottom left. I pull down, and there it is. Okay, it's same with this one. We'll hover here on the right. I'll pull up. There it is. I'll make a 4th window finally, and this one I'll hover over to the right, and then I'll pull down, and it goes there. So I easily can rearrange these windows and have 4 like that. Now you have options. If I go back to Moom and look at the options on this, let me look at the preferences here. one of the options was to leave a little bit of a gap between the windows, and I kind of like that. That's here with separate the windows by a few points. Okay, so 10 points is enough. So next time we arrange the windows, it'll leave a tiny gap, so it just looks a little prettier. So maybe I'll just do that now. Let's see if I can close these up here. So point here. So again, left and up. Yeah, you can see I made that smaller. I'll put something in this window so you can see it's this. Make a new window, and we'll go here to Yahoo. And this window, I want it to be at the bottom. So I point to this one and I pull down, and there it is, perfectly arranged. And let's just make a couple more. So I've got all 4, but maybe I don't need all 4. Maybe I'll just do 3. Let's do like this. I'll put this one on the right like that. So now I've got 3. So very, very, very easy to do things. And you can see here's that little gap between the windows that kind of makes the windows stand out a little bit better. It gets a little cluttered otherwise. All right, so these are basics. These are the basic things. Now, the other way you can do things is, you remember I was going from a half a screen. I wanted to go to quarter screen. Well, if you hold down the option key and you get some other options. See, if I'm holding the option key, it's a little hard to see, but it tells me that the first button, which would normally be full screen, if I hold the option key, what it does is it centers that particular window on the screen. So I'll just do that now, and you can see it's exactly centered. A lot of times people want stuff centered. They've got a big screen. They want the thing. They don't want it full screen. I mean, full screen is like this. It's too big. It's a bunch of wasted space. What they wanted to do was center it. Now, if I hover here, I can go back to how it was before I started mooming. And let's do this again. Well, I can center it like this. This would be the top left. I'm holding the option key down, and so all of these things have changed, and they now show you, like, this would be bottom left. This is top left. Let's do that. So you have the option key method and you have the drag it down method. I think they both work great. So whichever one works for you, you just go ahead and do that. Okay, now there's one other thing you can do. Now I have here this setup. You're looking at one big monitor of mine, but I have another big monitor over there. And if you have 2 monitors, it's a great way to work. Even if one of your monitors is a little monitor, like your laptop, if you hook it up to a big monitor when you're at your desk, it's nice to be able to move windows from one screen to the other. So that's built in here too. And I'm gonna show you what I consider the hard way, and then we'll move on to doing it the easy way. So here, I want to take this window, the one I'm pointing at here, and I want to put it over there. And I want to make it be on the left half of the window of the screen that's over there that you can't see, okay? So instead of just clicking here where it says left half, I'm going to click on it and drag it to the left, and the tiny little arrow shows up in that window, yep, right there, okay? And it's going to fly over there. Now, you can't see it, but it's over there, okay? So that was kind of fun. And so what you do is you point to the thing you want, and then you click and you drag it in the direction of what you want. So I just clicked and dragged it to the right. So I don't have to move the window. I just have to manipulate those little buttons. Okay, let's do really the good stuff. The good stuff for me is the keyboard stuff. So I'm going to quit all these things. And let's say here, I've got a calendar, and I think, gee, it'd be nice to see my calendar right now. If only I could push a button and have it be exactly half the screen. Could I do something like this? Could I get it over here, move it, and zoom it and have it be like exactly half the screen? Because there's my calendar. Well, could I? Yeah, of course I can, right? So let's mess up this window here, and then we'll do it. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to use Moom. And I have Moom here in the menu bar because when we look at these preferences here, you see it says run as menu bar application. The nice thing about that is it's always available up here in the menu bar. If you run it as what's called a standard app, it shows up down here in the dock. and that's fine too. But there's advantages to having it up here in the menu bar. The main one is that there'll be a little menu that we can make use of. We're going to build that menu now, and you'll see what we can do with that. So I would say when you use Moom, try it like this. Make it the menu bar way, and remember that this sideways M is it's sort of an M, sort of a Z, because it's moving and zooming. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Well, I'm going to actually skip this whole keyboard section for now. I'm going to come over here to custom. So here I can build things the way I want them. And what I want is I want something that takes a given window and shoves it to the left exactly half size. Then I want another one that's going to do the same thing to the right. So what do we do? In this area here, I'm going to hit this plus down at the bottom left. And I'm going to tell it that I want to move and zoom things. I do. This grid here represents your whole screen. That's the whole screen, okay, all the way to there. I want it to be half. So I've done this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, and I'm going to assign a keyboard shortcut. So for me, I think a good keyboard shortcut would be Command Option Left. I'm going to use the left arrow, and so I just typed that there, and that's going to do it. So I'm going to test that. So here's a window, and I'm going to do Command Option Left, and powie, it's done. Okay. If the window happened to be my reminders, Command Option Left, it works. If it was my address book, it's Command Option Left, it works. Okay. So whatever window it is, Command Option Left is going to shove it up there to the left, which is great. So now let's make another one that's Command Option Right to go to the right. So here at the top, you see my menu. There's my Command Option Left, and they even kind of show you in this menu, hey, if you select this, that window is going to go that way. So let's go in here to these preferences. Let's make another one. So this one was easy. I'm going to hit the plus, make something else. This could be another move and zoom. I'm going to drag like this. I want it's going to be the right half, and then this is going to do Command Option Right. Okay, so that's easy. So now this window being active, I can kick it to the right, I can kick it to the left. And so I'm using Command Option Left took me to here, Command Option Right takes me to there. So those are super handy. Now, maybe I want one that goes full screen, big. Well, so long as I'm doing Command Option stuff, why don't I do one that's Command Option Up and make it be full screen? That seems like that works for me. So I'm gonna come here again. Let's look at the preferences here, and I'll make another plus. And in here, yes, I want to move and zoom. And there's more than one way to do it. You can see there are different things that I could do, right? There's different options here. I'm just going to take this first one, move and zoom, and we're going to make this one like this. And I'm going to go here, and as long as I'm picking the keyboard shortcuts, I'm going to Command Option Up. Okay, if I can, let's see. Yeah, there's Command Option Up. So. By the way, while we're in here, when we're doing Windows sizes, you see this was a grid of 6 across and 4 down. If I needed more precision, I could have made it 9 across and 9 down. So maybe that's what's right for you sometime. The hard part about this is trying to get half a screen if you pick an odd number, right? So I wouldn't do that. I'd at least pick an even number like this, so at least you can draw out half a screen. Okay, so now I've got this window here, my calendar. I can go Command Option and then to the left, it's over there. Command Option and to the right, it's over here. Command Option Up, it's full screen. Okay, so really easy. And now, if let's say I open up that calendar again, I have a menu here, which is stuff that we've built. Here's the one that moves it to the left. Here's the one that moves it to the right. Here's the one that zooms it full screen. So if you like menus and you want to do it with a mouse, I can do this and it'll work. Okay, it works. But it's also a good reminder of what you've done, because sometimes the preferences you could have a lot of things in there and you don't want to have to go look there to see what's in there. But now I can just do I can look at this menu and it kind of is a good reminder. Okay, now another one we can do. We were talking about moving things from screen to screen. So if you have 2 screens, a laptop and a big screen, maybe, very handy to be able to throw a window over onto another screen. Now the bad way, I mean, this is what the normal person does, is he grabs this thing and he drags it over here, off the screen. And then it's kind of half and half, and it's, it's messy. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it a much better way. We're going to go here, look at the preferences. And now when I hit this plus, I showed you this menu last time here. I don't want to make this little shortcut be a move and zoom thing. I want it to be something that moves it to another display. So now, which direction am I going to go? I'm going to go left. Okay, so I could go to the screen on the right, go to the screen on the left. I could even loop through the screen. So if I kept pressing a certain keyboard shortcut, it would just move from screen to screen to screen and come back to where it started. So I'm just going to move it to the left like this. This one, I'm going to add the control key now. I've got 3 keys. There's 1, 2, 3. In fact, let me just see. Maybe I can make this a little bit better for us. Let's see if I've got my that keyboard, so I can show my keyboard shortcuts here. Here we go, Keystroke Pro. Let's see if this thing will show me the keys. Great. Let's see. So I'm going to do, so what I'm going to do here is, hopefully you can see the keys that I pick. Make this command, all 3 of those plus the left key. That's going to move it to the monitor on the left. So let's try that. Well, in fact, I know it's going to work. So let's just make the other one to go back to the right. We're going to go move to other display to the right. This will be 3 keys and a right. So now let's see what happens here. So here's this calendar. You're gonna have to have a little faith that when I push these buttons and this disappears, it's going to my other monitor. Here I go. Okay, take my word for it. It's over there. All right. Now I'm going to push the same keys except for with the right key, and it's going to come back over here. So very easy for us to move the windows around. Now once the windows on the monitor you want, then of course your other keyboard shortcuts work too, like my command option left to be half, command option right to be right. Okay, got it so far, right? Good. Now comes now this is sort of the pro part. This is the really, really cool part. So, Dan was talking about having 5 or 6 windows open, or maybe it was 10 or 12 windows open that he needs all the time. And that's me too. I need to have some mail open here. Okay. I need this to be sort of like this. So I want something like this. I want the mail to be open like that. I want calendar. Maybe I want the calendar to be, like this. Okay. We'll say like this. So I'm doing this by hand once. You're probably thinking, what is he doing? He's got Moom. Well, I'm going to do this just this once. Reminders, I'm going to want, let's see, I want my reminders to be here too. And maybe I've got something else. I'll just make up something else that maybe I want to have, how about Apple News here? Here's the news. So this is sort of a pretend. I'm not quite showing you everything that I would do, but let's see. I think I'll put the news here. Let's put the news here, and we'll put the notes, the reminders there. Okay, good. Okay, so this is the setup. Okay, it took me a while to get it right, but now I've got it. This is what I want, and I want to be able to look. I want to have this kind of setup every single day, anytime I want, nice and neat. It's sort of like it's like walking into a bedroom with a made bed. If it could just start like that, or throwing a big slip cover over everything, but just starting fresh and nice. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell Moom to memorize this setup. So I'm going to go here to Moom, and you see here it says Save Window Layout Snapshot. Right here at the top. Well, let's do it. And now they've made one of these little deals in the custom section here. This is where we were before. I went to custom, we hit that plus, but they've already built this for me to arrange windows. Okay, so I'm going to give this a shortcut here, and since this is going to be my starting point, I'm going to make it I'm going to use Command Option and 0. In fact, I'll work in the control key. I'm going to do 3 keys here and a 0 because it's going to be, it's not even step 1, it's step 0 for me. So now I just typed it in there. So now supposing, in a day's work, you're going to do something like this. You're going to make this big anyway. You're going to move this around because I can't talk you out of doing these things. This is what's going to happen. You're going to move this to the front. And now I want to put everything back the way I want it. So you remember our keyboard shortcut remember the shortcut be anything you want, but mine is Command, Option, Control, and 0. And you see it put them all back, except for this one, this one was obstructed, so they didn't quite, this one was off the screen. That's my problem. Let me see if I can do this again. If you make a boo-boo, like I did, you can come back here to Moom, and you can look in the preferences and you can update the snapshot. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to update this and say, remember that. Okay, to replace it. That's what I want. Okay, so now we'll try this one more time. It's always fun to see the demo kind of hit the ground without a net. Okay, so let's try this again. There, everything's good. Now, the reason it didn't work the first time is actually because part of my Zoom window was covering up this window here, so it didn't get remembered. All right, so now I have this layout that I can make that's really easy, and I can see all these different things. Now, you might remember, was it last month, the month before, where we had a bunch of windows that were like daily Mac reading. We had Mac rumors like this. Here's one. And maybe I'm going to have another one that was, let's go to Daring Fireball, another good Mac related site. I'll use my keyboard shortcuts. So let's say I want 2 windows to be arranged side by side when I've got 2 Safari windows. That's another one that I could save a snapshot for and give me a keyboard shortcut for that. Okay, so let me see what else I have on this. Oh my goodness, yes. Okay. So supposing this big layout here, yes, I can trigger it with a keyboard shortcut, and that was easy. How hard is that? Not hard. But I need to do something else. Well, I only want to do this when I've got the big monitor in front of me. Now, wouldn't it be cool if I had my laptop and I took it away, and then I came home and I plugged it into the big monitor, and it automatically did this for me without me pushing any buttons? Well, it turns out that is doable. So let's look at the preferences again for Moom. And this thing here that I'm doing, this arranging the windows, I can trigger automatically. You see this section right here, trigger automatically. I'm going to trigger it automatically when I've got 2 displays. Okay, so that's sort of fun. That means that if I disconnected my screen and then connected it again, this would run. So that's a nice option too. There are other ways to do that, but it's nice that this is built in. Okay, I think I am ready for questions about this. If there are questions about what I've done, and if not, I guess we'll take the usual grab bag.
Oh no, we got some questions. Okay, John Prescott, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? John Prescott's question was, is it possible to rename Moom snapshots with own titles? Example, workflow, task, related layouts.
Yes. That's a good question, and that's a bad instructor who should have done that to begin with. So what you do here is go to preferences again, and here's a title. You see, I got a title here, so I'm going to call this one mail, calendar, news, reminders. Okay, and so reminders. Okay, so now if you were looking in the menu, let's mess this up a little bit. If you look here, there it is. You see? So yeah. That's a sensational question. Great question.
Thanks for that.
You bet. Good question, and this time a good answer too.
Okay. Jerry Schultz, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? And I'll get to the others, I promise. Okay.
Yes, you showed the example of you could do two Safari windows side by side. Can you do that placement based upon window title? Or is it just, well, just do two Safari windows and place them?
That's it. It'd just be two Safari windows. This does not read the name of the windows, so it also won't open those windows for you. Okay, so if you want to do something where you're starting from scratch, like suppose I'm like this and I've got nothing open, and now I want to push my button and have something happen, nothing happens, okay, because those windows aren't open. So you can do other things that would first open those windows and then rearrange them. And in real life, that's what I do. But I can't do that with Moom by itself. I have to use something else to open the windows. And that something else is called Keyboard Maestro. And that's
Yes, I do most of my window placement. So that's what I use. I use Keyboard Maestro to do all sorts of window placement, and I do things based upon window title and things like that. So I was just curious whether Moom could replace some of my coding.
Yeah, you're right, because Keyboard Maestro is much more sophisticated, and the truth is a lot harder to set up too.
Yeah.
But that would be the way I would go. I do a combination. I have a keyboard shortcut that I press to open the apps that I want, and then after they're open, it tells Moom to rearrange them. So that's how I do that. Yeah, good question.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Christian, you have a couple of questions about will Moom conflict with Stage Manager?
Well, that is a really good question. This time you're gonna get a bad answer. I don't know. Maybe Dan knows, because I know you're using Stage Manager, Dan. Can you do it?
No, it doesn't interfere with it. It just might rearrange things. I mean, all Moom is doing is moving your windows. Instead of you doing it manually, it's doing automatic. It doesn't override anything else. So you could override it with Stage Manager and other things. So, yeah.
Okay. Fred, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
So I understand when you slide a window left with your mouse, it goes to a monitor on your left and on the right. At least that's the way I've done it. Does that, when you set the command up to slide left and right, does that presume that your monitor you're sliding to is on the left or right?
It does. Yeah, sure. Let's look at this again in the preferences. When we said here, move to the other display, you see this little arrow. This is showing me it's going to the one on the left, or the one on the right, or the one below, or the one above. So that's all. That's I think, does that answer that question? That this is assuming that it's at the left.
What happens if a monitor is on the left and you do the one that says slide it to the right?
Oh, then so if the window was over there on the other monitor, and then you do the one that says go right, it should come back here, right? That's but once it hits left, and once it hits the end, it's either going to stop, or if you've checked this box that says loop through, it'll go all the way around the world and come back. All right, it'll come all the way around. So does that answer that question? It's a good answer to some question. I'm not sure if it's the answer to your question.
I guess it's asking, how does it know that there's really a monitor there, another monitor there?
Oh, well, okay. If there isn't, then that would be a problem. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Well, for example, I don't have one above. I'll try to do this and say it's going to go above, and yeah, it doesn't know what to do. Okay, it doesn't know what to do. So that's, you lay out your windows the way your monitors the way you lay them out, and hopefully you only tell it to go in the directions where you actually have a monitor.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
that universal no symbol was pretty telling. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
basically saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Or it's not, yeah, okay.
Speaking of universal, I just realized I forgot to make our cursor bigger. It's always nice to have a bigger cursor around here. So let's do this. There, now you can see the cursor better. Sorry, people, I should have made it bigger and better a long time ago. All right, there. So you get your money back. Okay, so now you can see the cursor. Yeah, that's an interesting experiment to see if I could, make this go up. Let's see, it's command. I'm gonna try this one more time. Here's my Safari window, and I'm gonna press all three of these and left. And it doesn't know what to do. There's no monitor above, so it stops because it's looking at the arrangement of the monitors in here, right? It's looking at this arrangement. All I've got is left and right. So I think it's doing what it should do based on that. Put this back here. Okay. All right, next.
All right, Jim Cutler, I think I know the answer to your question, but I'm going to let you ask it anyway. Jim?
Caught me off guard because I put a couple questions up there.
All right.
I guess the more important one is I'm a heavy user of universal control with 4 screens, 2 on each system. And I have found that with a multiple system mouse, sometimes it performs differently depending on whether it's directly attached to the target system or not. And I don't know if there's any experience with Moom on the in this environment.
Okay, so let me just clarify a little bit on that. You've got maybe an iPad that's connected to your Mac with using it as a second screen, or maybe 4 screens, you said, right?
I've got a MacBook Pro with an external screen. I've got a Mac Mini with 2 screens.
I see, and so you're sharing the keyboard and the mouse are going between both of those things. I got it, both systems. All I can say is try it, since you can get it for free from Many Tricks. Give it a whirl.
And let us know what happens.
Yeah, right. So report back.
In my copious free time, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's a setup I have not done, but I know it's working great with 3 monitors that are part of one system. It's working just fine. So
Okay. We do have 2 inquiries about the program that's showing the keyboard keystrokes.
Oh, okay. Well, this is called Keystroke Pro. Actually, I learned of this from Dan. There are a bunch of them out there, but basically, if I press a key down, it shows you the key for a while, and then it lets go. So here's the command key down, here's the option key down, and you have this. So Keystroke Pro, you have choices here. If I can put that away, you get to tell it how big it's going to be. Like I'll make a really big button. So now if I hold down the command key, it's big and you can see it like I should have done to begin with. How long is it going to stay on the screen? It's here. So I'll say it's going to stay on for 3.5 seconds. And so I don't have to keep holding it down. I've let go and it's still up there. Okay, there's that. You can pick some colors and things. And you can also say that you only want to see the key if it's a modifier key. So here I'm showing all keystrokes, which means if I typed my name, you'd see CHRIS. But I can say, no, only show me the ones when it's a modifier key. So now if I type like this, you don't see anything. Whereas if I did this one, you'd see it. Okay. So there's no J's in Chris, but anyway. Okay, so there you go. Good question. It's a Keystroke Pro. I don't think it costs much, but I mean, if it did, I wouldn't have bought it, right? So, but so there you go.
All right. $11.99 I see in the App Store.
Okay.
All right. It's all yours.
Anybody else? Nothing else. Okay. There's one more thing to show you about Moom. Let's go back here to Safari again and okay, in demand. Okay, so we're going to go here to the preferences, and what I skipped something here. I skipped 2 parts. We've seen general, and I showed you this part, which I think is really where the real power is. Keyboard. This part I actually don't use myself because it's a 2-step thing. You push one button. You can say, okay, look, if I press, I'm going to make it be Control Option, Command, and M for Moom. Okay, so I'm going to press them here. I'm going to do that. So here's my new keyboard shortcut. When I do that, it shows me all these other options that I can do within Moom. Now I can even just move a window around now. So I'll show you how that works. So let's say I have this window here and I just want to move it over to the left a little bit. I just want to nudge it over, like over to there from the keyboard. So I hit my magic master shortcut, the one I just made. And now you see down below in the yellow, it's showing me what I can do. Well, so I can move the thing with the arrow keys. You see, well, if you saw it for a minute there, let's do it again. Right down here, move with the arrow keys. Well, okay, so then I'll just start moving it. You see, I'm just pushing left and it's moving around. So that's kind of cool. It's not what I do, but it's something you could do. All right. Then the other thing that you can do, which I also don't do, is suppose you've got a window here like this, and you just want, maybe you want to take this window that's here, sort of free form, and you want to make it be a little bit taller over here. You want it over here. Well, without Moom, well, you would do it a couple ways, right? You would find something to grab up here, which is not always that easy, but you would grab it, you'd move it over here, and then you'd, maybe try to grab the corner, pull it down like this, and maybe it takes 2 clicks if you're really good, or maybe 3. Okay, well, turns out that Moom has this feature. If I look at the preferences again, in the mouse section, where I can say, I can enable some extra stuff here. So if I do this, there we go. Here's what will happen. If I point to my button here, that didn't work. Wait a minute. Yes, okay, there's a couple things. First of all, I turned on my little menu here. You see, this used to be something that just had, this used to be something that just had these 4 buttons, but now it's got one more, which is my custom button. Okay, so that's sort of nice. But the other thing I'm going to do, bring this back, I'm going to show this, the full screen grid. Now, if I check this, you don't see anything happen. Okay, and I'm going to make this, again, I'll make this 9 by, I'm going to say by 8. Okay, what do we get here? Nothing yet. So I'm going to take this. Here's this Finder, this Safari window. I want to make the Safari window be over here somewhere. I don't want to be exactly to the left, even though that's what I would personally do. But you'll notice here I get some new options when I point to this this button. I think. Let's see. Close this up. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, I've done something wrong. Wait a minute. I'll make another window here. Be more fun if it worked. Here's a window. Okay, do you see down below? I have this weird looking shape here. Well, what this represents is where I can place the window. I'm gonna click on this, and now I can sort of drag out a window like this, and the window I'm in will jump into that space. So I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna go here, and I'm going to click, and let me try this again. I'm gonna do it one more time. Click here and drag out. I'll start out here. I'll say, well, I want it to be right here. And so it will jump into that space that I just created. I'll make a little smaller space. It might be more obvious if I do it like that. So I'm pointing here. Oh, here's my problem. My cursor's so big that they don't see the pointer right. Yeah. Okay, so I have to change my mind. I try to do something nice for you and see what happens. I made the cursor so big that Moom can't really find it properly. So I'll make this a little smaller. Okay. Okay, come on, let's have it. I'll make a new window. Okay. Okay, so here's this little this bluish area here. I'm gonna click there, and now I'm going to say, well, I want to make this the window that I was just in, make it fit this space. and it jumps into there. So that's the mouse feature. Now, for me, mostly I either do this, I either point to it and get me like half a screen, or I use the keyboard shortcuts like this. There's if I could, there, half. Yeah, so I'm more of a keyboard guy for this. If you're gonna try to manage Windows with Moom, you're much better off doing the keyboard because it's slower to go with a mouse. Okay, anything else? I'm ready.
Any questions? Yeah, they're mesmerized, Christian.
Okay. Well,
that was pretty cool
program.
though, that it could do that. That was really cool.
Yeah,
anyone with questions? Any more questions? Not that I
well, that
can
was easy. Okay.
see.
So look, I'll just do this. Remember, to the left, to the right, left, right, left, right. So easy. So and then I'll push it onto the other monitor. It's over there. You can't tell, but I'm bringing it back. So it's I can put it over there onto my MacBook Pro's monitor. One other thing about that, when you do move things from monitor to monitor like this, where I say move it to the left, move it to the right, you can tell it to resize proportionally too, because it might not fit properly on the monitor you're moving it to, because it might be smaller. So you can resize it. That's an option right here. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers it. I've been using Moom for so many years. Now there are other things out there. There's one called Magnet, which is good. And of course you can use things with Keyboard Maestro. Those are good, but Moom's the one that works for me, right? It's not the only thing that works, but it works. So for $10, I think you're all set. Definitely try the free trial. And they have a little video, a little out of date maybe, but it does give you the basics in case you forget what I showed you here.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else
Any other questions? You can raise your hand.
about anything?
I can't figure out.
Stan Isaacs, you have a question?
Yes, I'm
Go ahead.
trying to find if maybe nobody uses it. I use something called Desktop on my MacBook Pro. And sounds as though Zoom would be very good within Desktop, but Desktop seems to work the same as Displays. But I've used it for so many years, I have no idea where it originally came from. Hewlett-Packard computers, workstations a long time ago. But Desktop exists automatically as I upgrade. It's still there, and it produces a window that I can make separately for the class I teach, or separately for when I want to use mail, and then within that set up different windows.
Interesting. Well, I don't know about that one. Unless we're not talking about Control Center, or I mean, what are we talking about? I can't remember what I'm talking about. We're not talking about Mission Control, where you've got different setups, are we?
I don't know. All I know is at the very top of my screen, above the screen, when I move my cursor up there, it has a plus sign, and every time I hit it, I get a new desktop.
That sounds like Mission Control. Yeah, so you're using what's built in, which is great. And then you can use Moom within there.
I didn't know the name of it.
Yeah, that's
just says desktop.
Yeah, because you're making multiple desktops. One of the things, so long as we're talking about the people that made Moom, is they also make something called Desktop Curtain, and this one does exactly what it says here, that it covers your messy desktop. So if your desktop has 1,000 icons on it and it's a big distraction, which it is probably, this one, this app will just sort of throw a blanket over the whole thing so you can't see it, and then you can turn it off and all your stuff is underneath there. It's not been rearranged or moved or anything. It's just been covered up. So very, very cheap, whatever it is, but it's worth having. Okay. What else?
Next.
Well, look, no matter what you do, people, you gotta quit dragging windows around by hand. It's a giant waste of your time. It's way more fun to be able to push a couple buttons and put a window on the left, put it on the right, and know that it's going to be exactly where you want it. You're not going to fiddle with it. You're not going to drag it off too far. You're not going to miss. You're not going to have controls that you can't touch. You know, one other thing about Moom, by the way, that's so smart is when we have a window. Suppose I have a window like this, and you make it really, you know, I can make it. Oh, the dock's in the way, isn't it? Yeah, that's funny. Supposing you have something like this where it's behind the dock, they're still smart enough to pick it up and move it, and the dock isn't in the way there like it would be here, right? I can't do this by hand. If you ever get stuff behind the dock, if you're one of those guys that keeps shoving stuff down like this, so you can see what's in front, if you keep doing this to try to get to your desktop, you end up with stuff buried back here behind. And Moom, as long as Moom can see the window a little bit, if it's in the front, they can manipulate it. So that's the way I do it.
All right, Billy, I'm going to call on you in a second, but before I do, I want to really advise all of you that if your video is on, you really want to be careful about what you're doing. So if you don't want people to see what's going on, please turn off your video. So thank you. All right, Billy, you're up.
Christian, can I ask, how would you set up two monitors with two sets of windows that were different? So you had 3 in one monitor and 3 in the other. I might have missed it.
No, I didn't do it because you can't see my other monitor, but that's a great question. I just saw it in the chat, so I'm glad that you were called on. So look, I'm going to set up something where I'm going to have my calendar. I want to have my calendar over here on my other monitor, the one that you can't see. Okay, so I'm pushing this over to the left by hand. Trust me, I have a monitor over here. So I'm setting up, maybe I have my calendar over there, and I'm going to put my reminders over there too. Okay, so right now, here's my reminders, but I'm going to put them on my other monitor. And now in this monitor, I'm going to have a web page. I'm going to have a Safari window like this. And I'm going to put mail over here like this, and it's going to leave me room for something else here. Okay, so 2 windows over there on the unseen monitor, 2 over here, and now I'm going to come to Moom and say save this window layout snapshot. Okay, so and I'm going to call this one. This time I'm going to say 2 over there, 2 over here. Okay, so we'll know what that means. Oh, and I'm going to give this I'll give this a keyboard shortcut too. I'll do all 3 of these things in a 2 because it's got 2 monitors. Okay. Now I'm gonna mess it up, move these windows around, resize them, because even when you've got the perfect starting point, you end up messing things up because you still can't resist. You're going to drag something around or you're going to zoom it. But now I want to get back to normal, and my normal is here. I've got this here, and by golly, they moved. Okay, they moved. You couldn't see the ones over there, but they moved. They moved too. So great question, Billy.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Billy. Okay, next question. All right, no questions that I see. All right, all yours, Christian.
Okay, I think that we're done. I'm just going to try something here. Yeah, so you still have what's built into your Mac is you do have some attempts at window management by Apple here. I'm going to have here's a few things open. Let's just open up a few more, and maybe make a mistake like this, and you get a big, great big window covering up everything, and now you wish you could find your calendar. So you do have your F3. That's this is standard on the Mac, right? And when I press the F3, I can see everything that was on that screen. So I'll just do that again. So F3, and I can bring this forward, F3 again. So It's this is built in. This was over here in system preferences. If you looked in, I think mission control. No, sorry. I think in keyboard. Yeah, you've got some shortcuts to show all windows, which anyway, it's in here somewhere. You try F3 is built, it's standard, so you'll see it somewhere in there. Somewhere in there there's an F3 shortcut that works. But you know, that's not going to go away just because you're using Moom. It's a good thing, but hopefully you won't have a whole lot of overlapping windows because you'll be arranging them the way you want. Okay.
All right, board, I think your question was answered, but do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question again? Ward Clark?
I saw that you were moving a window to the left.
Mhm.
Monitors, and I would like to be able to say, not move it to the left, but move it to the monitor that's at the right, targeting a specific monitor rather than by relative position.
Yeah, I don't think we have, well, we kind of have that. Let me see here. Let's look at the preferences again. And here we are moving to another display. I've got the direction, but I think I can do something else. No, in here, that's what I get to do. I get to move it to another display, and it is relative to the right or to the left. So I can't say send it to the send it to some particular monitor. Nope, doesn't work. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I see what you want though. You want to land it on maybe you want to jump over a couple monitors and end up all the way to the right. Yeah, I cannot do that. Not with this.
yeah. What I would like to do is to take windows and put them on my center monitor. You know, things that I've put off to the side.
Yes. Well, I don't see an easy way here. I mean, you could. I mean, of course, you can click on a window. This is all window at a time, right? When you're moving something to the other display, you're using a keyboard shortcut to move it. You know, one window at a time too. So that might not be. It might not be too hard if you only have a couple of windows. If you have a lot of windows, you're going to have to do a lot of mousing to go back to the other monitor, click on the other window, and bring it. So
It does. I see, Christian. I downloaded it, by the way.
yeah, good.
It has loop through display, so you can't target a specific display. But I have 3 monitors, and I can just. So what it'll do is it'll go to the next monitor, and then you hit it again, and it'll go to the next monitor. So it's not a great solution, but it will accomplish what
it'll
he
get
asked.
there. They'll get there eventually if you do the loop,
Right.
and it'll come all the way around again too. If I were to do this, moving to the right, I'm going to click this box here, and so this window is going to disappear to the right, and here it goes. It's to the right. Now I don't have any other monitors over there. That's as far as it goes, but I'm going to do it again anyway. And it's gonna now it's on the one all the far left. So this is how Christopher Columbus got here, right? He took the circle route, and so if he had Moom, he would have been here a lot sooner. Okay, much more efficient. Okay, so that's the best I can do is I can run it around in a circle, you know, all the way left and all the way around.
All right,
Which
Jerry.
is sort of nice, not bad.
Okay, Jerry Schultz, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, when you were showing the example of placing windows on 2 different monitors, you didn't show what would happen if you took one of those off-screen windows, moved it on screen where we can see it, and then does it move back
Okay.
to the other monitor?
Boo. Bad demo. Well, I'm gonna take. I had the. Let's look at what we had going. I think it was a calendar. I know what it was. Calendar, and the a few other things. So I'm gonna do that again. So now I've taken this calendar was supposed to end up there on the left, but now I put it in the center. and I'm going to do this one that I said, I called it 2 by 2 by 2. It's over there. Trust me.
Okay.
Good question. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So it does know, I guess it knows what the Windows, maybe it does know the Windows name, but anyway, it works.
Well, so it is, but it is doing this. So is it doing this then for every open window? So you have to make sure that you don't have, when you are telling it to place a window set, you have to make sure that you don't have other windows open that you don't want to be included in the set.
That is correct. You get exactly what you want set up, and then you memorize that. And also, that's a really good point here. If we look at the preferences again, one of these arrange window things, you see where it says ignore obstructed windows. That means if something is overlapped, then that window's obstructed, and we're not going to deal with that one. So you got to pay attention to that, because if something is slightly overlapping something else, then the one that's behind is not going to be remembered.
Yeah, since I may have 10 apps open with multiple windows per app, so I really have a lot of windows, and that would be a pain just to hide everything to make sure it doesn't get messed up.
Yeah, but what I do, there's a couple things that I really need every day when I start. I'm gonna have, as it turns out, I'm gonna have my messages app in a sort of skinny window. I'm going to have my to-do list in a little skinny window. I'm going to have my notes in a little skinny window. And every day I want that to happen. And so I actually have that since I have Keyboard Maestro also. Keyboard Maestro can trigger a keyboard shortcut on a timer. So I tell it every morning, I don't know what time I told it, but maybe let's say it's 6 a.m. I want it to push that button, and it lays out my windows all nice for me. At least I start the day nice and neat, right? So, and it brings them to the front too, because Keyboard Maestro has launched those things for me. So I'm using Keyboard Maestro to push the buttons that I set up in Moom. And it's on a timer, so it's going to happen every single day, and it's a handy thing. So anyway, you might want to look into that too. By the way, if you change things, if you say, well, now I decided I want these windows to look a little bit differently, I can rearrange them a little bit and then tell it to update the snapshot, and they'll do that. And if you try to do this 2-window thing or this 2-monitor thing, when the second monitor is not there, you'll get a little message saying that this snapshot is not possible to be used right now because there's no place to put the windows. So they'll let you know that that's not going to work if the other monitor is not there.
Okay, thanks. Great.
Okay, you bet.
Great. That snapshot update is really important. Alan, is your question related to what he's covering?
For a change, it is.
Okay, go ahead, Alan.
This is probably impossible, but can I send it to my friend's monitor somewhere else that's not even in my apartment?
No, you want to somehow push a button and make the window land somewhere else, like someone else's computer?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. No, that's not what Moom would do. There are other ways to do it. You want to do screen sharing there, but I don't think no, you couldn't do it. Even with screen sharing going, I can't use Moom to push things onto another monitor like that. Good.
Okay,
good
well,
idea.
I didn't think so, but it was worth a try.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, Alan, I have to ask, why would you want that?
Well, I mean, for example, if I wanted to send it to, send something, a window to my best friend who happens to be in another building.
A window configuration or just a window?
A particular window. I'd like him to see that window just once.
Yeah, I think it's time for a screenshot there. And then
yes.
That's
yes.
what I would do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure there's a way to do it other ways, but I'm just wondering whether this Moon thing allowed you to.
No, it doesn't give you kind of that, like, you can't set up 2 Mooms and have it be a walkie-talkie sort of thing. It doesn't do that.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I didn't think so,
Question.
but it
Well,
was worth a
maybe
try.
the next
Thank,
version.
thank you, Alan. All right, I think this will be our last question. Jean Roy, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. You just mentioned that, if it's someone that's set up with 2 monitors and you don't have the second monitor connected when you try to rerun the Range Windows command, you get a little warning. Does that mean the whole effort fails completely, or just the missing monitor doesn't work, but the one that's there, that does work?
I think it stops the snapshot from running at all. I think it doesn't, it just won't do it. You could, of course, set up a second snapshot you could lay out the windows the way you want when you only have 1 monitor, another one when you have 2, and run the right one. And then you can also say to trigger it automatically when you trigger this one when we're switching to 1 display. And we can say, if I have 2 displays, we'll run this other one.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. And you can also go up here and say, well, look, if I have, like right now, they know my display configuration. Right now it's what I have is 1 main display it's hard to see here, but in the gray, 2560 by 1440, another one that's also 1440, another one that's the little one. If I have this set up, then it'll run. And so I do have a Moom that when I plug in my second monitor, it runs the scripts, the snapshot, and lays out the things for me. So yeah, I do make use of that. So that's a good feature.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you for your question. Jerry, do you have your hand up again, or this some last time?
I do have it up again.
Go ahead.
It just occurred to me when you were talking about recognizing displays. I have 1 external display which I change between portrait and landscape mode. So do I have to make completely separate configurations for portrait and landscape mode?
Well, I think it depends. If what you're doing is setting up a window that's going to go to the left half, I think they would know that, the monitor's dimensions have changed. The height is now the width. So I think things like left and right and top half and bottom half and center and full screen, all of those things would still work.
Okay, but then, so do you know anything about configurations? If I have a configuration which I only want to use, say, in portrait mode, and it doesn't make sense in landscape mode because of the aspect ratio,
I know there's
those separately, or do you know?
Well, there is the feature here to say, look, if the display layout matches such and such, run this automatically. Now, this is only automatically, so it's. This would be triggered automatically, but if you were to do this by the keyboard shortcut or select it from the menu, it doesn't care about whether that monitor is vertical or not. If it's except that if you place something into a spot on the monitor that doesn't exist anymore because you've rotated it like this, I think you'd still get the message that says that snapshot can't be run, So
okay, it can take some experimentation on my part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Thank you for your question. And with that, we are going to thank Christian for such a wonderful presentation, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Christian. That I downloaded Moom. I mean, I bought it a while ago, and I'm going to give it another shot along with Keyboard Maestro. So I never even thought about pairing those two together and saving window. Basically, you can save. So fantastic. If everyone wants to, unmute themselves and thank Christian.
Thank you, Christian. As usual, a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
Thanks, Christian. Thanks, Christian.
Thank you.
Christian.
Have another.
All right. Next week is, or Yeah, next week is going to be yours truly here, and I'm going to be talking about how we work with images. I use one on a daily basis, how you can resize images right from the Finder. You don't have to open up photos, you don't have to open up preview, anything like that. But I'm also going to show you how you can share images and do a little bit of stuff with preview as well. So if you work with images and you need to resize them and you need to share them, you'll want to be part of this next week's meeting. Don't forget that we have our class registration open, and also look in your mail for the ballot. And outside of that, everyone have a great week, and thank you for your support, and we'll see you next week.